Boeing and Lockheed Martin are going to sell you a bunch of really expensive planes that aren't going to matter.
And maybe some rhetoric, but we have warware.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trademark, you can't take it.
Yeah. Sorry, trademark.
Yeah.
And you can't do defense wear because that's for softies. That's for soft power people.
I was trying to come up with the word for hard that they like use in like romance novels for like hard.
Throbbing wear.
You tear down the house, then you put up the rent. You pocket the cash, and you crush all dissent.
Hello and welcome to the Red Diaper Pill, episode 36. We're recording on Sunday, May 3rd, 2026. This is a podcast about art, culture, history, politics, technology, and parenting from a left perspective. My name is Simone.
And I'm John Paul.
John Paul is playing with a wand from Great Wolf Lodge.
I am.
We were at Great Wolf Lodge today.
I'm trying to make a spell that'll make you go faster.
You just do 1.25 speed when you're listening, listeners.
Yes.
That's how I listen to us.
That's basically a magic spell, right?
So I've never done a indoor water park before.
And what's your...
It was as bad as I thought it would be. That is not my scene.
Great Wolf Lodge. We will retract the statement the moment the
no, I mean,
paycheck
I think that given what it is, you're doing a fine job. I enjoyed seeing all the people enjoying themselves. Interesting crowd. But
it wasn't the particular execution, it was the concept itself that offends you.
I go to a hotel pool and there's like one other family there with 2 children. And I'm like lifeguarding the whole time. Like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Where are my 3? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So no, I don't do well with like children run amok.
Yeah, you gotta chill, man.
That is not when you chill.
You gotta chill.
You don't chill when there's water around.
You gotta enjoy things.
I enjoy lots of things. Gardening.
Drinking a glass of wine after you get back.
I didn't drink at the water park, and that was an option.
I know. Congratulations.
Anyways, the kids enjoyed it, and it was our eldest kid had a weekend of his life. So
yeah, it was very, very nice. We were invited by friends, which we were very grateful for.
Friends of the pod.
Yeah, friends of the pod.
Early
and just for the record, I had a great time.
Anchor.
I did not count children the whole time.
Anchor subscribers. Well, you lost several.
I don't know if that's true.
I watched you a couple times walk away, and you just assumed you had trailing children.
That's how I do, man. You gotta keep moving. And if you let them stop you, you'll never make forward progress. You gotta go, man.
You can move, but you need to make sure they're following you, because on several occasions they stayed with me, and I was like, at what point will he realize I have? And I was like, is it cruel to do this? But then I'm like, I'm not gonna get his attention. He's decided to walk very rapidly away. So how many children can I peel off of you before you'll realize it?
Yeah.
When did you turn around and realize I had them?
Probably when I had gotten to the next area.
When you got to the cabana.
Yeah. The other thing that happened.
Yeah, what else happened?
This weekend.
May Day.
May Day. How do you feel about May Day this year?
I did a local action like with the kids' school that I thought was great. Our kids like are pretty awesome at showing up to activist things, which is kind of cool to watch. Especially the older one sort of has a confidence about it, which is I feel proud of.
Mm-hmm.
I feel proud of the 4-year-old marching and holding his sign up. He held his sign up the whole time.
That's really
towards the cars.
That's really something. What did the sign say?
Multiracial solidarity. I mean,
that's a good sign.
It was multiracial solidarity, anti-racism, anti-sexism, something. Cool. Yeah. How do you feel, John Paul?
So I have marched on May Day for at least the last 10 years, probably longer.
No, I have it going back. I mean, Google Photos is keeping track of all of your political action. And I had like a 16 years ago memory come up with you.
Yeah, I don't think I've missed it.
You haven't missed it since we've had kids.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe I was an 8th, so that's why I've attended a May.
Simone always works at May Day.
And yeah, right. Thank you.
No problem.
For taking the hit on that. And for subscribers who are helping with our childcare.
Yeah, we had
expenses.
We had a village.
Which is significant.
And subscribers who also happen to be our childcare themselves, because we have had to use a village the last few weeks of getting basic things to happen.
But I will say, and I don't know if this is because I'm like done this for a while, so this sort of novelty is wearing off or not.
You're old.
I'm maybe getting old. I don't feel more cynical. I do feel that the world is increasingly in a worse place than it was every year, which I think is an accurate assessment, not just my age, the psychology of an aging millennial. But I think that there's an energy problem with Mayday. Yeah, oh yeah. There's the oil is almost $120, but $20. So no, seriously, there's something is missing, and I think I'm starting to suspect that the population of the United States writ large, minus like the very devout MAGA people who are very happy because the libs were upset. And there's some people who are like all on board with MAGA as long as this war stops, and they're mad about the war, and they're sort of teetering now. So if you subtract those two people, everyone else is like, something needs to happen. Something important needs to happen. And I don't think anyone believes that the marches are building towards that thing anymore. I think in like 2015, like Occupy build is to like some really interesting and important civil rights stuff, including like the George Floyd Black Lives Matter stuff. And I think that stuff felt like it was building towards something.
And Occupy, I think, created a huge membership boon for some of the socialist parties.
Yeah.
Which I think felt like action towards something.
Yeah.
But I agree. You've talked to anybody, you talk to most people these days, and they're like, this is awful. What do we do?
Yeah, what are we going to do about it?
I don't have to censor my politics that much at all with like normal people anymore, because they're like, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But then what?
Yeah.
And I do find that the like, oh, let's go to a May Day march.
Yeah, I mean, no one ever thought that.
You were disappointed in the turnout on the one you went to, too.
Yeah, yes. I think
you went to the.
I went to like the big one downtown that was run by like the coalition of all of the anti-immigration groups and all
pro-immigration people and the anti-capitalist coalitions.
Yeah, yes, and
always run the May Day stuff.
I think there's
the unions.
Yeah, and some of the there was some energy with some of that, but I feel like there was a period of time where it felt like the protesters of today were going to normalize a different type of politics tomorrow, that like they were going to become like long-term activists / revolutionaries of tomorrow. Like these marches were going to transform people. And now I think most people think of it as a waste of time, that it's not going to accomplish much of anything. There's no one really to recruit because everyone is already convinced, but they want to see you do something. And I really don't think there's not enough people on the left who are like, here's a thing to do.
But, well, what do you do?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have all the answers.
People left to recruit because most of those people are not in a political party.
Yeah, because they're not seeing political parties do enough.
I know, but what do you do?
The stuff in Minneapolis is a really big deal, and that was all in reaction to a fascist push. That was a counterattack.
Although,
someone needs to be willing to like seriously attack U.S. Capitol and not just counterattack.
I will say,
or talk about how it's important to do that.
Slight at Minneapolis. Minneapolis was a response to a fascist attack. Minneapolis had a particular capacity, community capacity, because they were the center of the George Floyd protest.
Right, which is also a response to a fascist. I mean, and that's important. Like, it's important to be like, this authoritarian bullshit has to stop. I'm not denigrating that at all.
Two things that were true, though. You had the proactive force being the fascists, and an existing network of people who already had to deal with existential threat and violence, who then built stuff and continued to keep it alive for 10, 15 years. Those are unusual circumstances.
Yeah.
That are not true in most communities.
Yeah.
And what you'll see is Minneapolis is already challenging to recreate, and you'll see that the fascists have already altered their tactics, so they're not going to rock back into something like that again.
Yeah.
So then what do we build? You're right. Why would I go to a march to just hand out my paper to the other parties handing out their paper, and then get a few folks who are not in parties who end up with both papers, and then are like,
who have gotten that paper for the last 3 times.
And they're like, then now what do we do?
Yeah. I have met people who have believed for a long time that the actual like working class of the United States is far more progressive than most of these like left movements consider them to be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I agree with them like for as far back as they would tell that story. So I think it's true now. I really do. I think it's true now.
I actually think people in left parties tend to have a tendency to believe that they're dealing with a population that is more conservative or less. I use this term, less woke. I use that term like that people are less accepting of radical politics. Like there's a lot of convincing to do. There's a lot of education to do.
Yeah.
That you have to start like really like basic. It's not true. It's not true. There's not that much convincing to do. There might be a lot of education to do. There's not much convincing to do.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
So in other news, I've got exactly one horrible headline, and I'm sticking to it.
Good.
Might be because it's an extra long artifact. Might be because
You do your research?
I just do what I want to do.
This is a weird wildfire.
I'm a real wild. That's what people say about me. She's a real wild card. This is a Democracy Now! Headline from April 30th, 2026.
Okay.
Supreme Court strikes down Louisiana congressional map and guts key provision of Civil Rights Act. The Supreme Court ruled on Wednesday that Louisiana must redraw a congressional map that was designed to create a second majority black district in the state, where African Americans have long faced racial segregation and barriers to voting. The decision effectively guts Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the last remaining major provision of the landmark 1965 law that was a crowning achievement of the civil rights movement. In a 6-3 decision along partisan lines, a majority of the justices ruled Louisiana's map relied too heavily on race and unfairly favored black voters. In her dissent, Justice Kagan writes, quote, "The Voting Rights Act is, or now more accurately was, one of the most consequential, efficacious, and amply justified exercises of federal legislative power in our nation's history. It was born of the literal blood of Union soldiers and civil rights marchers." So, what say you?
Can you explain some of the details here? Because I think it's important for people to understand what this provision did, what its loss will actually mean in practice.
I can.
Because it's one of these situations where, in my opinion, like what it means in practice is the fundamental thing here. And I think people are not going to get that.
So the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was a major victory of the civil rights movement. And it was in direct response to systematic, violent voter repression of black voters across the South from the end of the Civil War. So poll taxes and literacy tests and grandfather clauses and Ku Klux Klan people intimidating you away from voting. So there was a concerted effort to create a legal provisions that would cease the voter intimidation and the extra legal and in some cases legal barriers they were creating for voting. And it was also meant to sort of create conditions that would create legal conditions that would allow corrections to be made to ensure that black people's voting rights were taken seriously across the country. So in this case, Louisiana versus Calais, it was looking at Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 allows courts to strike down voting practices that discriminated based on race anywhere in their country. And Section 5 required states with a documented history of discrimination to get federal pre-clearance before changing voting laws. Section 5 was previously gutted because they basically were like, oh, you're making certain states have pre-clearance. You're making certain states ask for pre-clearance. Now, other states, this is nuts. You need a different formula that's more accurate to our current world because it's 50 years old. And then Congress never passed a different formula. So there's essentially no pre-clearance rights. Right. Section 2 is more saying you should be able to challenge racially discriminatory voting practices. And when those in practice, what that looks like in Louisiana is 1/3 black. And yet the way it's districted and the way the map is drawn, it doesn't result in voting districts that actually have majority black folks. So you end up with all white districts. You end up with all white candidates, majority white voters voting in all white candidates, even though that's not reflective at all of what the
right. Like you might say, here's a state with 35% black and And instead of having 35% of the districts be black, 35% of every district is black.
Right.
So all the districts are majority white, and they all produce a white candidate.
Right.
Something like that.
And and you could even say this is like, you could literally say it's not about whether they produce a white or black candidate. It's about whether the voting districts are representative. Like the voting districts, which like then are actually representative of the population. And in many ways, they're not. Oftentimes, you have districts that are so racially gerrymandered that they literally have to carve up urban areas,
right.
because we have a highly segregated country. So to take something like Louisiana and figure out how to make these districts majority white takes some doing. So they carve apart cities, like highways carve apart cities, especially in urban areas where black people live. And so, anyways, the Roberts Court was basically like, we are not going to, this is racially discriminatory to allow for challenges of this sort based on race to be brought forward. So we are disallowing it,
right.
Which means the Voting
Rights
Rights
affirmative about race is in fact racist.
Which means the Voting Rights Act is dead. Like, it's not an overstatement.
Yeah, it's dead.
It's dead.
It's dead. I mean, not to be conspiratorial, and this could be because I've often been puzzled by national law, which seems so like there's not enough legalese or legal logic here. It seems very contingent and like situational. But I feel like you said it was Section 5, which was the
pre-clearance one?
Yeah. Section 5 feels to me like it was written in such a way that it was doomed.
Yeah.
Right. There's no reason not to have every state get pre-clearance to make sure there wasn't racial bias in what they were doing. But what is that? Just to shit on the South a little bit? What was the point of that? Like, just say, if you say this is the law of the land, everyone needs to get pre-clearance when you change your voting laws, because it's a federal interest.
It is. I don't, and I'm not a lawyer, and I'm sure there's like people who study this that would tell you why it was specifically done that way. I don't have a problem with shooting on the South a little bit. Like, you were fighting in favor of slavery, and then you destroyed Reconstruction and then erected Jim Crow. Like, maybe, I mean, I don't think that the feds, the U.S. feds, who are capitalist class, should be in charge of things. However, maybe when you come out of the Civil War, it is okay for the feds or the other states to actually do things that deliberately target states and politicians and elected officials and people who were in favor of something blatantly racist and problematic. However, I will say that I don't think they did themselves any favors in this case.
You're pushing me into a liberal position where I'm very uncomfortable.
I would love to. Go ahead, get in there. Get into that position.
You write the law that targets the thing that they did, not the state. Like, you say that all these Southern generals did a thing.
Yeah.
So we should target Southern generals. No, you target generals that did a thing.
So they targeted,
which happens to be all these Southern generals.
They targeted the things that the state did, which made a list of states.
Well, okay. Is that so? The actual provision is if you have engaged in these following practices. Okay.
Well, and then it got struck down because they're like, well, this was 50 years ago. We're not doing this anymore. We don't have literacy tests anymore. And they said, and they struck it down. And they said, we'll come up with a new way to figure this out. Yeah. And then no one ever did, which is not conspiratorial. They absolutely knew that would not happen.
Right, of course.
They could have said, well, let's just.
They also know that
the decision at that point could have been like, maybe do pre-clearance for everybody.
Yeah. Right. They also knew that they were making a decision in the midst of the most concerted effort to deny access to voting to people of color that we've seen in decades.
Yep.
But when you're talking with your friends and you're when you're talking about like right-wing talkers and commentators and thinkers, and you're like, these people, like, they like to glow up MLK, but they actually hate his guts. They're glad he's dead. They don't believe anything he stood for. They're going to take this one thing about like color blindness, like judging people by the content of their character, which is not what he was talking about and not what he believed in. And they're going to use that to like erase everything that he actually did. Mm-hmm. But they're underneath it all, they really would like to wipe him from history and get rid of MLK and all that stuff. Absolutely true. Yeah. Guaranteed. This is the crowning achievement of the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King specifically wanted to steer the movement towards voting rights and away from like the Great Society stuff that LBJ was pushing, because he wanted like a specifically racially coded victory about self-determination and voting.
Power, yeah.
And this is the destruction of that.
Yep.
This is We never believed in that. We could not wait to get rid of it. Now that we're in an era where the civil rights movement is anemic, and we believe that we have the stronger footing, we're going to cancel all of these things and go back to a world in which Black people's participation in self-governance and self-determination is like a minor, much more minor than like the people we think should be having political power.
Yeah, and to draw a further historical line, the Voting Rights Act, for all intents and purposes, was basically the realization of the 15th Amendment. The 15th Amendment was signed into law in like 1870 after the Civil War, and it gave Black people the right to vote. And it wasn't the case that Black people could vote for basically almost 100 years. 95 years later, we get the Voting Rights Act. And that actually, like, it wasn't just, there are like BS legislation nonsense that are not worth the time of day, especially in the United States. But like this, like, actually shifted the political reality of millions of people living in the South and the representation of people in Congress. Now, that might not be the most revolutionary body that they were ever considered, but
Certainly hasn't done much to curb the rise of racism in this country.
So you have, well, that's true. And John Lewis was a big proponent of the Voting Rights Act, and then he became an elected official, and he really didn't do that much progressive stuff in the end. But we're not having that argument. What I'm trying to say is, like, you have the Civil War, you have the end of you abolish slavery. You have the 15th Amendment, which actually allows these folks to vote.
Uh-huh.
You have a failed Reconstruction that any political power that was starting to be amassed by Black folks in the South was pulled away. And then you have 100 years, basically, of state-sanctioned and extra-legal violence in Jim Crow. And you finally get the Voting Rights Act. And not 60 years later, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a story of progressivism. That is not a story of the arc of justice bending the correct direction. And it's not that surprising it's happened. Like, this isn't just Trump's America. This is like, not an unpredictable place to find ourselves.
Yeah, and all the right wingers, they're like, look how much more progressive and tolerant we are than these other cultures. This is the stuff they're talking about. They can't wait to get rid of it. They're disgusted by all of it. So race blindness is going to become the new dominant ideology of America. If you ever notice race at all, except for to confirm your biases, you're a racist for making it about race.
I mean, ICE agents are literally supposed to notice race, and they do it there. I mean, like, I think what you just said, it harkens to a simpler time, and we're not even there. I think
actually,
the norm,
recount what I just
the
said.
norm of this America is blatant racism.
Yeah, you're right.
It's white ascendancy.
Whenever we're talking about making things more fair
for who?
For people of color and marginalized groups,
right?
That will be racism because you're not being race blind in your approach. Whenever it's time to hurt those people, it will be, oh, come on. We all know. I mean, I know, we all know. Right. Like, what, we're going to pretend that the Latinos aren't the immigrants? We all know, I know. Right. We're not going to pretend because it's progressive to pretend.
I don't think we are going to live in an era of any sort of color blindness. I don't even think that is what, I mean, the court is sort of playing with some of that where they're like, why are you talking about race? We shouldn't be talking about race. But I think that's like old hat. I think new hat is pure white nationalist rhetoric.
Yeah. No.
So this is like
we haven't heard someone say, look, it's a good thing that Black people can't vote as easily as they could before because they really shouldn't be allowed to.
No,
we haven't heard that, and we used to hear that.
What they're saying is it's a good thing that there's all of these ridiculous barriers because those people are trying to vote illegally. Those people are trying to vote twice. Those people aren't legally allowed to vote.
Right.
Now you fill in the blanks. Maybe they're saying, because they're immigrants and they shouldn't be voting, or maybe they're criminals and they shouldn't be voting, or maybe the blank that fills in for certain people is those Black people should not be allowed to vote. So I don't think we're that far from it. The real consequences of this are rapid. There are counties and districts who had started doing like primaries for midterms who have ceased them. Like they had started collecting absentee ballots and they are stopping it so they can redraw lines. In Tennessee and Florida and Louisiana It will be across the South. It will be up through the Mid-Atlantic. So it's basically carte blanche to redistrict. Every state has different rules about how you can redistrict, but it's carte blanche to redistrict
on racist grounds and to get it passed relatively easily.
They took the accountability measure away to basically it said you cannot argue that this is on racist grounds. So like anything goes, and there's no pre-clearance. So
the Democrats will have nothing to say about this at all, and the reason is besides their general fecklessness and ineffectual nature, specifically in this election cycle, they are terrified of winning huge majorities in the House and the Senate because that will burden them with things that they do not want to be burdened with, like impeaching the president. Hakeem Jeffries is already signaling that impeachment is not what they want. They want marginal victories. They want minor victories that do not give them any kind of... They want to be able to tell you all the time that the reason they can't do the things that you want them to do is because most of the country doesn't agree with them. Yeah. And agree with you, and if we could, we would of course have universal health care, but that's not pragmatic in this world.
It is definitely.
And so it just so happens that everything that is pragmatic are the things that we and our bosses and the ruling class want anyway. But in this particular case, they're running up the scoreboard way faster than they wish they were, and they would like to see a lot of these seats that they're guaranteed to take become seats that they can't take.
Well, it is definitely the case that most of the country does not agree with the Democrats. It is also the case that they should, by all measures, sweep the midterms, even with this stuff.
That's right. They feel confident that they'll win without winning overwhelmingly.
I also note that there's a lot of other voting intimidation stuff that could affect the midterms and is entirely racialized and fascist. And you're right. They don't want to be in power because then they might have to continue to have no position on genocide. And
yep. They can stop payments to Israel. Or do they want the responsibility of having...
Well, speaking of that, we talked about the FISA extension 1 or 2 weeks ago. They extended it till April 30th. They have extended it 3 more years.
Clean? As in they didn't get any reforms?
No, just as is. So,
God bless America.
Yeah, it's really a impressive political system that we have here.
Yeah. As horrible as it is to see them strip the Voting Rights Act, there's this quote from No Country for Old Men: "If the rule got you here,
how good's the rule?
What's the point of the rule?"
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's you're going to glow up these victories of the civil rights movement, but I think the real story here is, unfortunately, the civil rights movement picked the wrong target.
No, it's a strategic error.
It was always going to be limited in what it could do, and also limited in how long it was going to last. And we are the inheritors of those mistakes.
Yep. It's very, you're right. This was part of Martin Luther King's legacy. There's other parts of his legacy, and I think there's other. He did not just invest in voting electoral strategy. John Lewis did, for what it's worth. But we don't just slam John Lewis on this podcast.
No, please do.
No. But yeah, it's a major victory. It was a major victory that was on the backs of lots and lots of hard work and violence and dead people.
Yeah.
People who died trying to vote.
Yeah.
And I think it was a major strategic error to think that a Voting Rights Act with the Supreme Court in this country that was going to get you Congress seats in a 2-party system that just advances capitalism. What is that going to save you long term? It's amazing. It's lasted 60 years, and you don't have equal rights to voting. You haven't had equal rights to voting. It's not like it changed that game.
Yeah.
It made it slightly, or maybe slightly more than slightly. It made it much better than it was before, but it didn't actually shift fundamentally racism in this country or political representation.
Yeah, what it did was it made it less humiliatingly
terrible,
obvious, and stupid, right? You could have some sort of moral standing in the world because you could continue on in the same racist tradition you had, but it wasn't as embarrassing to go around being you all should have equal rights like we do. Oh, Jim Crow, don't ignore that.
There were improvements to representation, which might have come with it some additional progressivism, but improvements in representation of elected officials who are just Democrats in Congress is not that progressive. And it's also, that's run its course. The level of representation of like progressives, supposedly, or these coalitions that they were kind of building have been weakened over the last couple of decades, not strengthened.
Yeah.
And so, we're here now. This is where we are.
Yeah.
That's our one horrible headline.
Well, it was pretty horrible.
I think.
So congratulations, mission accomplished.
Well, I think it's complicated.
Complicated and horrible. I heard that there's not a single black Republican running for Congress.
That surprised me.
Not one.
That's other hating that we've left in the past.
Yeah, I mean that was the real wokeness that they hate was the one that they were doing.
Like Claude Steele or whoever.
Claude Steele.
What's his name?
He's a huge never Trumper.
Like a for real one.
Michael Steele.
And his brother is it Claude?
His mother was a sharecropper.
Yes.
Michael Steele's brother.
I don't think it's Michael Steele. Oh, yeah, it is Michael Steele. His brother is?
No mention of Shelby Steele, a different person, an author and conservative commentator, has a twin brother named Claude.
Wait, no.
You grab at the land with both of your hands, but candles will burn and time will reveal all that you've done and the money you steal. The suffering you're causing gives you no pause for thought. You got your claws in the dead summer's heart. Birds will return as the birds always do. When they come home to roost, they'll feast on you. Your pies will fade as you grow old.
So you finally got your act together and found an artifact?
I did. I got a good one too.
Oh, yeah?
So, I'm not one to be ranking how bad corporations are most of the time, because I think they're all pretty bad, and the ones that try not to seem bad are probably the worst ones. However,
well, LL Bean is probably pretty good.
Yeah, probably not. They changed their fucking return policy, and I had a little bit of a fight with them about my slippers.
Oh, that was a bad example, perhaps because of personal issues.
Because I'm done with them.
What about Patagonia?
I have no opinions about Patagonia.
No, we've never owned. That's too nice for us.
Yeah, LL Bean is like
as highbrow as we get.
Yeah, that might as well be
Gucci.
Okay. Anyway, Palantir. I will have to say Palantir, I think, is a clear and present danger to the human race, and in a way that is meaningfully worse than every other corporation for a couple of reasons.
Is there going to be like an analogy to corporations that were terrible during the Holocaust? Do you think they're just the worst that's ever happened?
So the Holocaust is like, you could sort of say there's the companies that were like, we'll make money with anybody, and anybody who'll give us money, we'll take the money with. So collaborators, but like, and then there's the ones who are like, you could probably be more efficient at slaughtering Jews if you used our technology we've developed specially for you. So
IBM.
Palantir is a new thing though, which is like, look, Skynet is going to happen anyway, so we may as well be the ones to do it. And human beings are not real. They're sort of a figment of your imagination. I mean, so one thing is, one of their founders has said that like the reason the company was created was to track down and get rid of communists. And I take that seriously. I think that their main function is to insulate the ruling class from what they expect is coming, which is some sort of like revolutionary surge against like this level of wealth inequality and this level of like fuckery with the...
That's not Alex Karp. That's the other guy, right?
There was not Alex Karp, nor was it Thiel. It was another one of their founders. But you know that Alex Karp and Thiel agree with that.
I mean,
they're trying to usher in.
It's kind of nice that they think that we're such a big threat.
They do. Actually, Hex said something recently about how Marxists are their real opponents. Or a real enemy.
It's kind of like, I think that's the subtext in the Antifa stuff too.
Yeah.
Where they're going to get the memo through and it's going to be anti-Antifa, which is like, oh, that's like the ones we can all get behind, but what they're really targeting are leftists.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's just because we're full of ourselves. Although the movement needs to step up.
Yeah. It'd be nice if we lived up to their
50% of their fear.
Yeah, the fear that they have of us. But anyway, that being said, I take that seriously.
Well, leftists are always the biggest threat to fascists.
Right. And they know that. And I think that
And they might even know it from reading.
Teal expects,
Some of them read.
I believe, that there will be no elections by the time he dies. Like, they will have solved that problem.
Oh, he's not going to die.
Oh, well, once he's entering his robot body,
Yeah.
they'll have solved elections, and people will accept, in his version of the future, people have accepted and are even excited about the fact that people like him have unlimited, like, sort of political sway without having to be accountable to an electorate.
Sure.
And he sees people like us as the biggest obstacle to that. So congratulations, Simone.
He's an Ubermensch.
He's an Ubermensch.
I love to fight Ubermensch.
You do. You do. I hate bullies. You hate Ubermensch. Two is...
There was an Ubermensch, if I remember correctly. There was a pro Ubermensch fella hanging around your Brooklyn apartment.
Yeah.
Loved fighting that guy.
Yeah, you gave him a hard time.
He was
it coming.
He was awful, and it was so easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a small fella.
Yeah.
In stature.
Yeah, but he was an Ubermensch.
He was a self-proclaimed Ubermensch. Aren't they always? Okay, go on.
They're also very busy adapting a lot of the tools that they've used in the Middle East to like using biodata to like catalog everyone, and then use that information to like assist in like military and law enforcement activities.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I say just drive around, they have like a screen on display that's like, here's where this immigrant lives, here's where they usually are this time of day, this is what they look like, these are the people they know, things like this. What are your chances of catching them at home if you drive over there now, things like that. So and they are running headlong into being, I think they expect to be the largest weapons contractor in the history of the world, and they expect to be able to make that transition within the next like 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's the play here. And what's undergirding a lot of this is restraint is a silly liberal affectation. There is no reason for restraint, and the ones who are unrestrained will be the ones that win. And we want to win. We want America to win because that's who's going to pay us, and we want to win as a company. So there's no point in having ethical debates. And they are going to, like, if the world is going to see, they're not going to see Terminators, although that's very scary because Terminators. What they're going to see is AI.
I don't recall the plot of the movie.
Have you ever seen Terminator?
I know you definitely made me watch it.
I have never made you watch Terminator. No way.
It's the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Uh-huh.
We've watched it.
We've watched that one?
It has washed over me before.
We should watch, actually, we should.
And I don't remember.
Because it's one of the best movies.
I don't remember the plot of the movie.
Anyway, what we're going to have is drone swarms that are run by AI that swarm and attack. And what the mistake will be is to make them be able to fix each other or like make new ones, and then we'll really be fucked. But they're in a rush to do that. They're like, everyone else is like, maybe we should stop and think about this, what the implications would be. And they're like, why would we do that and lose 10 years of development time?
But they're in a rush to do it because they think that they survive this.
They think that they will control it and that they will be able to direct it at their enemies, which includes you and me.
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, it's basically everybody. Isn't it?
Yeah, basically everyone. Like, they envision a form of slavery which is governed by such absolute power that there's no fighting back against it. Like, you will just be instantly dead if you question it.
Well, this sounds like a fun artifact.
Yeah. So anyway, they published a stupid manifesto on Twitter, as one does. And like, who asked for this? Why would they do this? Good question.
I mean, someone probably wrote it in some sort of drug-addled state.
Well, what they did was they wrote a book called The Technological Republic
that no one wanted to read.
And by them, I mean Alex Karp, who's the CEO, and then some like Nicholas Zemiska, who is the head of corporate affairs. They wrote this book about a year ago.
Yeah.
And it like masquerades as a book on political philosophy, of like a peer-reviewed political philosophy. What it actually is a weapons brochure for the U.S. government.
Okay, and it didn't get enough play, so they turned it into a tweet.
Well, the tweet is, we get asked about it a lot, so here it is in brief, and it's 22 points. So I thought we could go through these and react in something.
Oh, perhaps they didn't need a book.
Waver between horror and derision, as we're like to do.
Okay. All right.
Good?
I'm ready to react as such.
Okay. 1. Silicon Valley owes a moral debt to the country that made its rise possible. The engineering elite of Silicon Valley has an affirmative obligation to participate in the defense of the nation.
I see
Initial reactions.
that he is creating a moral obligation out of thin air.
No one has an affirmative
to defend
obligation in
capital.
anything, but Silicon Valley has an affirmative obligation to get paid from the defense as part of the defense industry.
To defend capital at all costs, morally.
Yeah, morally.
So, it's a good first point for someone like him, but he has just made it up.
Yeah, I mean, really weird for them to bring up
Like-
moral debt in light of what the next of these things are.
Because the country, the nation just birthed Silicon Valley and just gave so much of itself to build. We're not even responsible for most of the education of those folks. Probably they're mostly China and India. But we created the valley. We gave them nice tax deals.
The consumers is what actually gave rise to this, is U.S. consumers, but
No,
that's not what they mean.
So they have a moral debt to protect the consumers, right?
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, I mean, Silicon Valley got
Or the work,
or
or the workers, or the communities, or any. But no, it's to the nation.
yeah. I guess another way to look at it is, I think the silicon that they're referencing is a weapons product. It's always been, Silicon Valley's always been
Silicon Valley's always been a massive defense spend.
a industrial, like a military industrial complex town.
Also, the people who make Silicon Valley run are not just the engineers. Just to be clear, he's got the engineering elite of Silicon Valley have an affirmative obligation to participate in the defense of the nation.
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
He's determining that this is about the defense of the nation, which is strange. Maybe they have honestly, they have an obligation to what they probably the teachers have taught them, if anything. But then the engineering elite, you have warehouse workers, you have cleaners, you have
VCs.
you have the very important VCs.
Yeah.
But then no, this is the engineering.
You have the
Okay.
engineering,
Whatever.
go blow your suck yourself off someplace else.
Anyways, point one.
I guess the point of this is that we should not just sell to the highest bidder, including China, but we have an obligation to align with U.S. capital as an entity against foreign competitors.
That is purely the point, and it's just purely manifested of ideological thin air.
Right.
Fine.
Because as soon as they don't think this is profitable, they will switch it to, we have a moral obligation to sell to the highest bidder.
Yeah, right.
2, we must rebel against the tyranny of the apps.
Okay, what's that mean?
Is the iPhone our greatest creative, if not crowning achievement as a civilization?
No.
That is a terrible sentence.
Is there commas in that sentence?
No.
Oh.
The object has changed our lives, but it may also now be limiting and constraining our sense of the possible.
Is the second point of this manifesto the iPhone's not the best thing ever?
Yeah, it may not be the best thing. Maybe it's not the crowning achievement of Western civilization.
Okay.
The iPhone.
I agree. The consumer tech era has elapsed.
What could they?
We're left with just shit.
What could they possibly be?
The internet's dead. I guess they would like us to think about the potential for terrifying defense technology. But that is the creative crowning achievement of human civilization is drone warfare.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get too. Is everyone's trying to come up with something great for the consumer market, but it's limiting what we can achieve in global domination.
Right.
like a super villain.
Yeah.
Why are they lowering themselves by making things that plebs would like?
The consumer tech market's dead too. It's not dead, but they've squeezed it out. They've squeezed the profits out, and they've shitified the products, and we're moving on.
3, free email is not enough. The decadence. This is my favorite one, I think. The decadence of a culture or civilization, and indeed its ruling class, will be forgiven only if that culture is capable of delivering economic growth and security for the public.
So that's just shade at Google.
Is that what it is?
Free email is not enough as shade at Google.
This is not that we're going to eliminate the decadence of a culture or civilization, and also not that we're going to do what we can to avoid there being a ruling class, but rather, hey, fellow members of the ruling class, we can have a decadence of our culture and civilization, but only if you can deliver economic growth and security to the public. So if you want the gravy train to continue,
that feels
you
like
need to pay us.
they feel like they're saying elbow jab at Google.
Yeah.
Google's not delivering the type of economic growth and security we need.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in a decadent era, Weimar Germany, and we need to pivot towards security. And you won't do it with Google. You need to do it with us.
You need to find a way to deliver economic growth and security, and Google's not going to do it for you anymore because their eye is on selling stuff to the public instead of remaking society.
So they dug at Apple in the second point, and they dug at Google at the third point.
Yep.
Are they going to do Facebook the next? Is Meta next?
I bet you it is in here actually.
Let's read on.
4. The limits of soft power of storing rhetoric alone have been exposed. The ability of free and democratic societies to prevail requires something more than moral appeal. It requires hard power, and hard power in this century will be built on software.
Well, that's the decline of liberalism.
Yeah, but it's like what they want to do is they want to say soft power alone, right? But what they actually mean is we need to stop it with the soft power because no one's fooled by this bullshit anymore. So we're just going to do might makes right, and it doesn't really matter.
I mean, that's aligned with the foreign policy of the administration and what we're hearing out of like Rubio and Hegseth and so on.
Yeah. Also, probably why they liked Trumpism because it gave them an opportunity to begin eliminating the veil.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of whitewashes this actual situation in the United States in that there's liberalism. It's the decline of liberalism. And there's like, we have the largest prison population and we start all the wars. So it's like there's a lot of hard power.
All of them except for like 2. That's the thing is like the hard power has been there the whole time. And what they want to say now is that the hard power has failed, and it has, more than it has succeeded, because we are relying on rhetoric alone. We haven't actually invested ourselves in hard power, which is lunacy.
That's not. Yeah, what do they think the military budget goes towards?
Yeah, I know.
Rhetoric.
I know.
They
spend all this money on these missiles,
hardware.
Because it's actually they blow up and they drop hearts on people, and they spend all that military budget telling people how great democracy is and how they should have done.
Well, I guess they're not spending enough money on software.
No.
So I mean,
they're not spending enough money on. If you're really serious about hard power, you need to spend money at Palantir.
It's funny. It's kind of funny that they're saying if you're really serious about hard power, you have to buy software. But that's unfortunate. They should rename software.
Warware?
Warware?
That would be good. That's what they should call it, Warware. The Department of War. And now we have Warware.
It's very Mario Brothers.
Warware.
But yeah, what they're saying is like Google sucks, Apple sucks. If you want to be like a real badass,
military contractors suck.
It has to be through Palantir, which is like, I'm just taking your word for it.
Yeah, Boeing and Lockheed Martin are going to sell you a bunch of really expensive planes that aren't going to matter,
and maybe some rhetoric. But we have warware.
Yeah.
Trademark. You can't take it.
Yeah. Sorry, trademark.
Yeah.
And you can't do defenseware because that's for softies. That's for soft power people.
I was trying to come up with the word for hard that they like use in like romance novels for like hard.
Throbbingware.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Okay.
Throbware. That's funny.
Throbware. Also trademarked. Can't have that either,
yeah,
Alex
sorry.
Carp.
We're gonna have a whole list of these in this show notes that you can't use.
And we're gonna get all the websites, www.throbware.com. Okay, go on.
5. The question is not whether AI weapons will be built. It is who will build them and for what purpose.
Oh, well, that's a really an intriguing and thoughtful question.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah.
Is it China? Is it us?
Our adversaries will not pause to indulge in theatrical debates about the merits of developing technologies with critical military and national security applications. They will proceed.
So that's shade at Anthropic.
Yes. Although this is summarized from a book that was published a year.
No, but Anthropic was always on the side of we should really think about what we're doing.
What we're doing here, yeah.
It's an arms race.
It's an arms race, which is like you don't do this because the reason you don't endlessly escalate is because the other side also escalates. you can actually have like a drawdown of like the number of nuclear weapons in the world, for example. Like we did that. We actually did that. Everyone can draw down the level of escalation, but there's no money in that. You can't sell de-escalation. So they're basically saying that we should escalate to the nth degree because we expect the other side will escalate to the nth degree, except they won't. That's not a necessary outcome of this. That everyone has to have the killer robot swarms.
I mean, I think if you're Palantir, everyone has to have the killer robot swarms.
Their business model depends on everyone realizing that is like it's a kind of social Darwinism or eugenics, but for like cultures and civilizations where everything is justified if it can lead you to overcome and like replicate and causes other people to like lose, this is like the most godless, crazy stuff imaginable. I mean, these people, like the same people who tell you that like abortion is evil are going to be like, there is no rules to warfare. Rules to warfare are for wimps.
Well, right. I mean, I think that they believe that they're the better people and therefore we have to win the arms race. I guess maybe that's what you're saying with eugenics. I think they believe, I don't know. Some of them I think just believe that they have to say this to make endless amounts of money.
Right.
And get endless amounts of power. But I think that the argument is we are the morally righteous. We are the good people. We must win.
Right.
And to win, you have to do the most extreme things the fastest.
Yeah.
Because your enemy will. Which also is like, well, then are you really the morally righteous? Because you're both doing the shitty thing. But
yeah. I mean, but yeah.
they're trapped.
I agree that's the argument. The problem is like we've seen time and time again. They're like, you don't have to endlessly escalate until everyone is dead.
You do. You're a capitalist. I mean, I think in this
they rein themselves in when they have to.
In this world, with this type of capitalism, especially Silicon Valley capitalism, I don't know that they know another way. Maybe that's just where we are with fascism. And I'm not surprised by this, I guess, is the logic.
Yeah. I guess there are cooler heads, but the logic of capitalism is such that there will be someone who understands there's money to be made in this lane, and they will push this lane as hard as they can, and everyone else will be left behind. That's the real problem here, is like it is rational for a lot of people to say this is not a good idea, but it just takes one to break rank, and then everyone's doing it. And it's the same thing with like burning every sort of ounce of fossil fuel on the planet.
Well, I know, and their argument is sort of like, because we know that we're always will be one who will push, and they will be our enemy, we have to push with them.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next, ready for the next one? National service should be a universal duty. We should, as a society, seriously consider moving away from an all-volunteer force and only fight the next war if everyone shares in the risk and the cost.
I mean, I don't disagree. I guess universal
customers for Palantir.
Or not. I mean, if everyone there's actual universal conscription, would we have as much war?
We would have, yes. If there was like an actual sharing of the risks and rewards, there would be less war. But all this would do is give the war powers, more soldiers. There's no, like, Alex Karp is not going to share in the risk and the rewards. He's going to reap the rewards and not share in the risk at all.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's obviously what's true. I mean, true universal conscription for a nation is not like materially a bad idea.
Obviously makes sense that if you decide that fighting a war is necessary, the whole society should share equally in the burden of that. 7, if a U.S. Marine asks for a better rifle, we should build it. And the same goes for software. We should, as a country, be capable of continuing a debate about the appropriateness of military action abroad while remaining unflinching in our commitment to those we have asked to step in harm's way.
Well, which this previous point is everyone. So
right.
When any freaking idiot needs a better rifle, we build it.
There's no amount of peace and lack of being in war or national distaste for war should get in the way of war spending.
And I'm saying that as a non-biased source that in fact will benefit from all the war spending. Okay. Fine. I mean, this is dumb.
It's dumb. It doesn't strike you as dumb?
Yeah, very dumb.
It's written in such a way as to be like profound, but it's not. None of it.
They're not even that well scaffolded together.
No. 8, public servants need to be, I will say at this point, it starts to get a little weird. 8, Public servants need not be our priests.
Okay.
Any business that compensated its employees in the way that the federal government compensates public servants would struggle to survive.
He's just talking about like grift and bloat in supposed public service contract. One of the biggest bloat is the defense contract. So I mean, don't bite the hands that feed you.
There's two ways to read this, and I'm baffled at which one is correct. I've read a couple of people try and take on this, and no one seems to agree. One is public servants are paid way too much. In private business, we understand that there's a bottom line, and that these people don't deserve as much as they expect to be paid. So we need to trim the federal budget and make sure that there's more money to pay us.
Sure.
The real important people.
Right.
Right. And then that's why they don't need to be our priests means we don't need to worship them and give them more than they deserve.
Right.
The other way to read it is they don't need to be our priests as in unpaid, like.
Oh, no, that's not what it is.
It is. I think it more likely is they want public servants to be much better compensated because they want a revolving door of lobbyists and tech people getting paid out the wazoo.
No.
And that's what a lot of people understand this to mean, people who have read the book.
Read it again.
Public servants need not be our priests. Any business that compensated its employees in the way that the federal government compensates public servants would struggle to survive.
Oh, I guess you could read it either way. Well, you know what? I agree. We should pay public educators more money. Moving right.
Somehow I imagine it's not what they mean. As long as you're not an international development person, we should be paying you a lot more money.
Yeah.
9. We should show far more grace towards those who have subjected themselves to public life.
Oh, like teachers.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, this one's real bad. The eradication of any space for forgiveness, a jettisoning of any tolerance for the complexities and contradictions of the human psyche may leave us with a cast of characters at the helm we will grow to regret.
So this is just anti-cancel culture? What are they, just having random ideas and putting them in a list?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a list of things they think should
We're mad about cancel culture.
Does this include people who have drug addictions? Is that a complexity of the human psyche?
Yeah, I mean, Alex Karp is a fucking drug addict.
Oh,
sure, I'm sure that's exactly what he's talking about.
So they're going to let all these folks out of prison.
And the pedophiles in charge of their country, they're fine.
I don't get to be a famous rich guy. I just have to be a normal rich guy. That's unacceptable. But sending all these other people to prison for 20, 30 years, we have to clean up society.
Poor people and people of color are not who he's talking about. He's talking about how Alex Karp is probably a drug-addled, sex addict. I'm making this up, but probably true. And, people like Trump and all the losers he surrounds himself with and Musk have complex psyches in which they are horrible people and they should not be held accountable.
Yeah. Here's the solution. Do not subject yourself to public life.
I disagree. I think public life should have room for the complexity of humans. And I think there's consequences to complexities in your psyche that cause harm to people. And sometimes those consequences are, you can move beyond them. You could cause harm, and in some amount of time, with some amount of effort, you could be on the other side of that. And I think public servants, along with everyone else, should be able to participate in that.
Right. And if you can't handle that being the deal, fucking stay in private life.
I think you should just keep yourself to yourself.
It's like they're entitled to everything. They're entitled to be in public life. They're entitled to feel really important about themselves. They're entitled to all of this money, and then they're entitled to act however way they want.
Yeah.
And they're entitled to never get called on it or be held accountable for it.
Yes.
It's like Israel. It's like, it's not enough that we can do this. It's not enough that we can do this and get away with it. We also need to force you to like us.
It's very masculine. It is. It's not a very feminine trait. Women do not think that they can behave any way they want and then force people to like them.
Yeah.
And that they're entitled to everything along the way.
Yeah.
They understand that in order to get things, you have to behave certain ways, convince certain ways, be certain ways, and provide value. Otherwise, that's just it.
Right.
You're not entitled to anything.
Yeah. That's the thing is these people don't, nothing here ends up.
I'm not saying it as like this is a man problem. I'm just saying these are like ideas that are particular to, yeah.
And they could say something here like, we need the contributions from people who are very complex and contradictory and have problems. But that's not what they're saying.
No.
They're not saying contradiction. They're saying cast of characters at the helm. We are also entitled to make all the decisions. And if you don't let us, then some weird freak who doesn't, I guess,
like defense contractors as much,
or travel to Epstein Island, some weird freak like that's going to end up in charge, and you're not going to be happy with it. You'd be much happier if you just let us keep doing it.
Yeah, God forbid Bernie Sanders was in charge.
10. The psychologization of modern politics is leading us astray. Those who look to the political arena to nourish their soul and sense of self, who rely too heavily on their internal life finding expression in people they may never meet, will be left disappointed.
What does that mean? Does that mean we can't call Trump a psychopath?
What it means is your engagement with politics is poisonous because you expect it to be, you should not expect really anything out of the political arena. That's something that is best treated as like a sideshow to your normal life,
Okay.
and let the rest of us worry about the decisions.
I agree that we should not expect that much from the current political arena. And I do think that that there's like an over-indexing of our particular political arena and its importance, because I don't actually think the way people do politics like in Washington are that important. I actually think it is a circus.
Yeah.
And that it has robbed from most people an actual sense of political and civic purpose, because they think that is what politics, that those people are doing the politics. And they don't do they don't do anything. They are not the major power brokers, I think, of our society. And they really don't represent very much at all. However, it seems like they're suggesting that like humans who are interested in, or humans who are expecting things from politics or public life or civics are wronged.
Yeah.
Which is odd, because they just also said maybe we should respect public life more.
No, you should care about it less. You should care about how horrible we are less, and stop giving us a hard time about it. And you should also stop having expectations of us.
But pay us more, or maybe pay us less. We don't know.
Yeah.
That point was so poorly written. We're not quite sure.
It's pay us more.
So pay us more, expect less.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be horrible swamp creatures.
And what they're trying to do is
molest children and be like, just do the worst things, but you don't hold us accountable.
One of the main tasks of a political organizer is to politicize people's normal life, because people have this experience of like, there's life. Most of it's decided by like the rules of nature, like the free market is a rule.
And I have no control over it.
Yeah. And then there's this very small window where we're talking about like zoning law, or like what's the height of condos in your area. And that's boring shit that you should leave to people who are nerds.
Yeah, technocrats.
Right. And the one of the main things of left-wing political organizers is say all the things that you care about are political issues. Well, your kid's education is a political issue. How you're treated on the job is a political issue. What is available to you, how much free time you have, what is available to you during that free time, healthcare. Everything that you care about is actually political, and they have told you that all those things are actually cordoned off,
right?
But they shouldn't be, and they don't have to be.
Your intellectual and ethical ideas are political. Having conversations with other people about those things,
or being able to have relationships at all that are not mediated by technology.
Yeah. So the fascists would like us to believe that we should let that all be.
Yeah.
This is their Übermensch. Like, let the Übermensch take care of it. They're not. We shouldn't treat them like priests. We should treat them like well-paid
elites. We should just say that there's certain things that fall within the purview of social elites, and the rest of you should just chill, unless we're talking about Zoran Mondani, and then we can all get really, really worked up about it. But besides that,
well, they were, even when we're talking about him, he's politicizing things that are not political, and he is the wrong person to do the job.
Yeah.
This is very depressing. We're only halfway through.
Yeah.
It's also like it seems slapped together, and it's like, try harder. I mean, maybe we have to read the book, but like, you took your book and you made it into like 22 random points. Like, I don't care about your random thought bubbles, Alex Karp. Like, this is coming from his like C-suite. Like, God.
Apparently, the book is terrible.
It's so disappointing. I want my fascists to be better.
It's not for you. It's for
who's it? Yeah, who's it for?
It's for one, I guess they're sicko fans, and two, it's for a government trying to figure out how to justify building Terminators with public money.
So Pete Hegseth is going to take this tweet and put it into his Gemini and be like, "Dear Gemini, my friends over at Palantir just tweeted this. Can you tell me what I'm supposed to do today?"
Well, can you see the synergy between this and
I see the synergy.
Yeah.
No, they're aligned. It's just they were already aligned. Like, this is just like the sicko fans probably love this shit, and that is sick. And I guess they want to put their stake in the ground, but like, doesn't it tell you something about these guys?
Yeah, they're stupid.
Yeah.
They're like, they lack imagination to a large degree. They really can only understand things in terms of like what will make them more money.
And
And even as like a transparent money grab, it's not even very
well, it's also very
inspired
self-centered.
or
Self-centered to put something out like this, like that's just so like uninspired and not that well thought out. Because you're like, well, it matters because I thought it.
yeah.
I gotta put this.
Yeah. No, it actually feels like a misstep, right? Like
Yeah.
you'd be better off talking about these things in a closed room and seeming smart to like idiots like headsets.
Right. Or, drop some of them, but with a sort of some sophistication. But you're just like, oh, no, I want to say it now.
Yeah. Or is the idea that if you can give people enough of the impression that this is like Dr. Evil's manifesto and generate a kind of hate from like certain segments of society,
That's good for you?
it's good for your bottom line because they want the one that everyone is like, oh my God, they're like the worst of the worst.
Or maybe.
So we're playing into their hands right now.
Yeah. But we're just dedicating all of our listeners to
Yeah.
really driving up their bottom line.
Yeah.
Well, just, listeners, in order to undo that evil deed, please leave a review for Red Diaper Pail on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Palantir's stock, by the way, for those who are keeping track,
I mean, I did read this manifesto and immediately apply for a board position at Palantir.
is down 30% in the last 6 months.
Well, maybe the
So-
manifesto is a last-ditch effort.
That's not. I don't know if you're keeping track of whether down 30% is good or not, but it is not good.
All right, well, what's
11.
Oh my God.
Our society has grown too eager to hasten and is often gleeful at the demise of its enemies. The vanquishing of an opponent is a moment to pause, not rejoice.
What? That's a weird one. That's so else so that one of them can like attend whatever church they attend on Sundays.
Like it's almost like look, we can't beat them outright because then why eat us? We need to always have an enemy. It's like if war is peace, almost. I mean, I don't. This.
I honestly think they just threw that one in there so they could be like, "Hey, we're Christians."
We're Christians because
Before you hit the girls' school. No, I'm sorry. After you double tap or triple tap the girls' school, because that's efficiency. We gotta do that fast. Then you should pause and reflect. Because
what demise? When have we experienced the demise of an enemy of the United States?
Not recently.
Not since the Cold War.
We don't vanquish that. Turns out we don't vanquish that often.
No, we don't.
We lose a lot.
Yeah. This one is impenetrable to me. 12. The atomic age is ending.
Oh, no shit.
One age of deterrence, the atomic age, is ending, and a new era of deterrence built on AI is set to begin.
No argument there. I mean, that seems. I agree.
Yeah.
And Palantir is the new Manhattan Project.
Yeah. And the atomic bomb is, you're wasting your money spending it on atomic bombs. What you need to do is spend it on us, because we are going to be the only thing that can deter. No other country in the history of the world has advanced progressive values more than this one, which is why we should stop that.
Yeah, what? That's a little bit strange.
No other country this is their justification for all of this.
I thought we moved on from we're spreading democracy and progressivism and liberalism.
Yeah.
I thought that was like old. We're old.
So,
but then they say that's true. We did that, but now we won't. Like, what is this? What is the subhead of that lovely point?
The United States is far from perfect, but it is easy to forget how much more opportunity exists in this country for those who are not hereditary elites than in any other nation on the planet.
Hereditary elites is an interesting turn of phrase. That's just American exceptionalism. I just think that they didn't get the PR kit where they weren't supposed to say it that way.
Yeah, I think this is the
They were supposed to say America has advanced civilizational excellence better than any other country.
Yeah, I mean maybe
they like legit got the talking point.
I mean, I hear this a lot, which is this contradiction, which is that we have spread liberalism, big L, little L. We have spread progressive values across the planet, and we've had to do that at some times by being not so nice about it.
Yeah.
However,
that's what
you don't want anyone else doing this. If anyone else is in charge, you're not going to get progressive values.
That's
even at the point of a gun, you're going to get something much worse.
That's neoliberalism.
Yeah.
That's Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
We are not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And so you can say we have done that, and you can say it was a mistake. We were in quagmires. But I don't think anyone's claim like that is not the thing to claim anymore. So I honestly think Palantir's just off book.
I mean, they could say something here like this one is actually stomach churning, because they could say the United States is far from perfect, but You will not be jailed for what you believe.
Yes,
You are allowed to find any job you want. You're allowed
No,
to.
you're not.
You're allowed to marry who you want.
Not true.
On and on and on. But instead, they're basically saying like, if you want to, there's room at the top if you're willing to smile as you kill. Still, there is opportunity here. You don't have to be born into a rich family to get it if you're willing to do what it takes. That's the only thing that they have to sell. The rest of us are like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in that. As well, go fuck yourself then. But for those of us who are in this position now, I mean, we were able to become filthy rich. So other people made it like this, not us. We want to take as much of it for ourselves as we can and prevent anyone else from having anything. But we will take credit for other people having fought and died for these opportunities. 14. American power has made possible an extraordinarily long peace. Too many have forgotten or perhaps taken for granted that nearly a century of some version of peace has prevailed in the world without a great power military conflict. At least 3 generations, billions of people and their children and now grandchildren have never known a world war.
What?
And we need to change that as soon as possible.
So first of all, this extraordinarily long piece, I guess we're saying started after World War II and has gone till today.
Yeah.
So we're not going to talk about Korea,
No,
Vietnam.
those don't count because we're talking about great powers in military conflict only.
The Cold War.
The Cold War was not, I guess, a hot war. So they
No, but there was military conflict related to the Cold War.
But
Iraq,
there was
Afghanistan.
There's no sort of, we never
So,
had U.S.
American
tanks shooting.
American power is why we haven't had a world war. And we should take credit for that, even though that's not why we haven't had a world war. And now we are getting ready for the next world war.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy thing. It's like they're in a real hurry to like have weapons and use them. But the other thing is like American power didn't make this long peace.
No, it's a complete mythology.
Yeah, it's a complete mythology. American abuse of power has done like war brinksmanship.
Yeah.
To get as much stuff as they could,
also
and it
probably-
started a huge amount of conflict.
It's probably shortened the period where we might have had a longer non-World War period.
Indeed.
And
But what stopped great power military conflict is the same thing that will stop it until I guess they have these, swarms of drones that can like eat a country in an afternoon, is nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons and a mutually assured destruction made it impossible for great military powers to go to direct conflict. It had nothing to do with American power. If it was Great Britain and the Soviet Union and Australia, it would have been the same outcome. You can't have nuclear exchanges.
I mean, we haven't had a third world war because of the infrastructure destruction that happened, and the United States,
I mean, they're in as
resource
hurry
grabs.
to forget those lessons of World War II as they possibly can be. This one is really disappointing. And I guess this is another reason why the United States has an obligation to escalate.
Well, yeah, you got to skip to the one where they say we shouldn't have neutered Japan.
Oh, that's that.
Because that's the next one.
Yeah.
'Cause- wait, no, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
They listed that one next.
15. The post-war neutering of Germany and Japan must be undone.
That's one of the reasons we didn't have another fucking world war.
Indeed.
Because there was a genocide. And then we were like, oh, we don't like this. And that did give a rise to a certain level of liberalism and, I don't know, new world order, which is
Yeah,
gone.
I mean, economic prosperity in Europe, which they had to start from scratch essentially, and they didn't have to spend a ton of money on, anyway.
Well, we shouldn't have overreacted to that genocide.
Yeah, literally they say overcorrection. The defanging of Germany was an overcorrection for which Europe is now paying a heavy price. A similar and highly theatrical commitment to Japanese pacifism will, if maintained, also threaten to shift the balance of power in Asia.
So the problem was in the neutering of Japan, that was post-war. So dropping the atomic bombs was not the problem.
No.
Just the further neutering.
A highly theatrical commitment to Japanese pacifism.
So that's not neutering. That's just like the culture being too into pacifism.
Yeah, or that making that they don't, they can have they have military police basically.
So
they don't have a standing.
We should rearm them so Palantir can sell to them.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. That's the point.
Exactly. We can also sell to U.S.'s allies. If
Right.
Given have
And now Germany and Japan, who are these great allies, we came to sell them because you dummies got all upset about a world war and a genocide.
Yeah, I mean, how are they going to feel about Germany? They want Germany to basically be a giant buffer state for Russia. That's what they want. They expect that if there is a world war, Germany's population and budgets will take most of the brunt of Russia, which is
Sort of like
crazy.
a inverse of the beginning of World War II.
Yeah, I guess. But if if a world war doesn't result, are they going to be happy with a EU led by Germany that has as big a military as us? They're going to be happy with that? And it's very strange brinksmanship they're playing. The whole point was to keep Germany from threatening US as a hegemon,
But
not to keep.
now they want Western civilizational power. So maybe the Germans are
They don't want that. They don't give a shit about that. They want that
Marco-
to be a justification for US power.
Marco wants it.
He wants to bully Europe into directing its energies towards maintaining U.S. dominance because they see all these countries as vassal states, which they are at this point in time. 16. We should applaud those who attempt to build where the market has failed to act. The culture almost snickers at Musk's interest in grand narrative, as if billionaires ought to simply stay in their lane of enriching themselves. Any curiosity or genuine interest in the value of what he has created is essentially dismissed, or perhaps lurks from beneath a thinly veiled scorn.
So billionaires should do wacky things and we should stop making fun of them, even if they don't bear out in the market.
I mean,
so the market's not God. The billionaires are.
Right. I mean, so they want to say billionaires are more than just out here to enrich ourselves. We're also in it to have curiosity and genuine interest in the value of what we create. And therefore, the culture snickers at Elon Musk's interest in a grand narrative. Right. If we step out of line and do anything besides pursue money, we get ridiculed. What's actually happening here is that Elon Musk's grand narrative is stupid and horrifying and laughable. And people are laughing at it because he thinks of himself as a very smart, important man, and he's a very stupid man with very stupid ideas about things.
Yeah.
Including his purpose and his own grand narrative. And so this is like just cleaning that. It's like we also have a grand narrative, as you can see in these very stupid 22 points that we created. And you shouldn't laugh at us for having a grand narrative. It's like this form over content thing again. It's like it's not that you have ideas. It's the bad ideas. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about how stupid your ideas are.
Yeah. But these guys, these people feel entitled that when they have an idea that they think is nice, that you guys should respect it.
Yeah.
So
in fact, you should be compelled to respect.
And they feel like you shouldn't be allowed to laugh at them or tell them their idea is stupid because you're worse than them. You're lower than them.
Yeah.
And these billionaires, by their nature of being billionaires, their ideas must be laudable. And it's not fair that they're being snickered at.
Yeah, it's not enough they have
It's not fair that the guy
be told how smart they are.
It's not fair that the guy who named his child an unspeakable set of letters is being laughed at.
And thinks his other son is base for ordering a cheeseburger at a sushi restaurant.
And so this Palantir exec has to come to the defense of this poor Tesla exec.
Oh my God. 17. Silicon Valley must play a role in addressing violent crime.
They are violent crime.
So we should be able to sell to police departments as well as the military.
They are violent crime.
Yeah. Many politicians.
What violent crime are they talking about? The one in Gaza?
Yeah. Many politicians across the United States have essentially shrugged when it comes to violent crime.
What? They all get elected off violent crime all the time. Like, they literally peddle that shit.
This is the one bipartisan thing that the Democrats, that was the first thing that third wave politicians went for, is the violent crime, lock them up as long as possible. We have the largest prison population in the world.
Yeah.
Abandoning any serious efforts to address the problem or take any risk with their constituencies or donors and coming up with solutions and experiments in what should be a desperate bid to save lives.
I mean, the violent crime we do ignore are the constant mass shootings.
Yeah.
So is that what he's talking about?
Is that what they're talking about?
I don't know what they're talking about.
They're talking about, this is a reaction to Black Lives Matter and defund the police, is what this is. You all got hypnotized into thinking that policing was bad because it was racist, but it's actually good because it's racist. I'm interested in solutions and experiments that end violent crime. Here's a couple. Universal health care, universal housing, universal child care, guaranteed nutritious food. If you did those 4 things in every major city, violent crime would drop by 90%.
Yeah.
And
So
it would cost them like if you put together the profits from all like the major 500 companies, you would easily be able to pay for those things. So there's an experiment for you. That's going to save lives.
you're making the argument in their terms about what they think violent crime is in the United States. But the other way to get rid of violent crime is to take out all the capitalists.
There's an experiment. No more billionaires.
No more-
You have to end at 999 million.
Slightly standardized pay for CEOs. Disallow money to be in politics.
Yep.
Enforce any international law.
No, I got one. Eliminate private property and commodities.
Yeah, that would take care of a lot of violent crime. I mean, the violent crime that's like enacted on the bodies of prisoners in the United States, we could end that by not imprisoning them.
Yeah.
That would take care of a lot of crime.
Yep. I mean, if you said to Carp, if we took your money today, I can guarantee you I would spend it in such a way that would reduce the number of people killed by violent crime by 50% over the next 10 years. Do you think he would go for that?
No, he'd laugh in your face and say, "Why would you take at face value that thing I tweeted?" I don't care about that. I want to be able to give the cops AI-powered drones.
I'm only interested in a solution that saves lives if I get paid, not if I have to sacrifice anything.
I can't wait for the cops to be gunning people down with AI-powered drones in the streets of Oakland.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm down for.
Not to mention hunting down political activists. 18. The ruthless exposure of the private lives of public figures drives far too much talent away from government service.
So this is actually really ironic because this guy is like, Palantir is like the creme de la creme of surveillance capitalism.
Right.
All they do is survey and data mine and have every piece of information on everybody, which is one way to control everything. But we're going to hand wring that people will go into public life because their lives are going to be looked at too closely. Like, first of all, what has Alex Karp done and what is he worried we're going to find out? Something.
Oh my God.
And your business model is knowing everything about everybody and using it to imprison them and kill them. So you're worried that a politician might have like their old Facebook photos pulled out?
Yeah.
Like,
they want to make it seem like, oh, like this is just normal stuff, but it's chased away people who should be in government service. What's really happening is fucking Epstein. That's what's really going on.
They're mad that child sexual abuse might not be completely normalized right now. When in fact it actually is, because what's happening because of Epstein, absolutely nothing. Right. But they want to be like, wait, guys, are you sure? We do get to continue to abuse the children, right?
Yeah, or like
otherwise I might not want to
open graft.
Otherwise I might not want to be in public life, and then you'd lose my great intelligence.
Unbelievable.
This is I know we've said this like several times, but this is the Ubermensch. This is Nietzsche. This is like completely.
Yeah, and they see themselves. They have the gall to see themselves as like obviously ordained. Like them, not just because they're billionaires, but because they are Silicon Valley billionaires. They think that they are smarter than everyone else, more important than everyone else, and probably will like live forever. And the rest of us are sort of in the way.
Yep.
The public arena and the shallow and petty assaults against those who dare to do something other than enrich themselves. The shallow and petty assaults, like how many times were you to Epstein's Island, has become so unforgiving that the Republic is left with a significant roster of ineffectual, empty vessels whose ambition one would forgive if there were any genuine belief structure lurking within.
I do believe that we have been left with terribly inefficient vessels.
Yeah, but it's not because the sex criminals and the fraudsters have all been chased out of government.
Apparently we only have those, and they're empty vessels.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's not.
All right, how about, so they're worrying here about empty vessels without genuine belief structures. Does Soren Mamdani have a genuine belief structure, or is they see him as just an empty vessel who's just ambitious?
They're also worried about I guess empty vessels, and also about leftists, and also about, I mean, let's just be clear. They're not really worried about empty vessels.
They love them. I mean, Trump is this.
Trump is the empty vessels are very useful for them. I don't know why they're hand-wringing about this, other than to sort of to score a cultural point. They can work with empty vessels.
Yeah, I mean, everyone hates Congress, so like, okay, go ahead, take your ding at Congress. They're a bunch of people who believe in nothing or after rich themselves. But if you the sentence ineffectual empty vessel with ambition and no genuine belief structure lurking within describes Trump to a T.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can harken back to our JD Vance episode.
Yeah.
Who is a Peter Thielite. And I don't think Peter Thiel and JD Vance probably love Trump. I think he probably is too much of a decadent, empty vessel.
Yeah. They're willing to use him.
They will, but they're also kind of saying, what I'm interpreting is they're saying, hey, don't criticize us for being decadent child pornography perverts.
Right, because at least we believe in something. These like money grumming like glad handers, they're not even people basically.
Well,
at least we have vices and we have like passions.
So we like the decadence.
Yeah.
But Thiel and Vance don't like the decadence.
It's a good point. I think Thiel and Vance like the decadence as part of a well-rounded like ascension to godhood, whereas they view the decadence of someone like Trump as like empty and shallow and embarrassing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But they also are saying, please don't look too closely to any of these elites who have earned their place, because we can actually do whatever we want.
Yeah.
If we want to be a Trump, we get to be a Trump. Yeah. If we want to be a Musk, we get to be a Musk. We basically can be however we want to be, and you should just thank us for existing.
I guess so. I mean, I will say that I suspect that Thiel, and by extension Vance, do have a genuine belief structure that is so horrifying that it could not be put in print. It would actually like sort of light on fire as soon as you wrote it down. And they despise people who are just greedy and don't believe anything. I think that they do believe in something horrifying, which is why, folks, J.D. Vance is much more dangerous ultimately than Trump is.
I mean, I think a lot of this is like this manifesto tells you over and over again that we, the people, everybody else, is supposed to take seriously and believe in this grandiose mythology that these folks have about themselves, because that's our job, and that's their job, and this is how we have the best civilization.
Yeah.
And they can feed you garbage, and you can know it's garbage. It can be obviously garbage as it's being slammed down your throat, and you just have to be like, this is great garbage, sir.
Yeah, this is great garbage, because ultimately the alternative is always worse, so stop trying to...
The alternative is, I think, a drone gunning you down.
Yeah.
I mean, not yet, but that is the alternative.
Eventually, they won't have to convince you of any of this.
Right.
Running through this whole thing is this like assumption that there's a special kind of valuable person that is being kept out of public service, either because it doesn't pay well enough or because there's too much scrutiny, and we should have let the really talented people into the public arena. And there's no attempt here. I mean, why would we believe that you deserve to have power more than anyone else? I mean, there's nothing in here like this is why tech people need to be more involved. It's just taken for granted that these are the most interesting, talented, and effective people, and that we need to solve the problem of them not getting everything that they want all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, number 19. The caution in public life that we unwittingly encourage is corrosive. Those who say nothing wrong often say nothing much at all.
Oh, so they have to say they're allowing themselves to say a percentage of things wrong?
Regulating AI will lead to the Antichrist. This is a position of Thiel. That's crazy. You should be kept away from power. That's an insane thing to believe. Why do you have so much influence in our democracy where everyone's supposed to have equal voice? Of course I'm going to say some things wrong because I have a lot to say. Actually, you don't have anything to say.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people who say things wrong who have something to say, but this is like, the point would be evaluate people based on their contributions and count and balance that with the things that they mess up. This is just like, the things that you agree with that I say should insulate me from the things I say that no one likes.
I mean, I can't get over how disjointed the entire manifesto is.
Yeah, I mean, this is not how it was originally written. I don't...
No, I know, but they chose to put these weird ideas together as 22 points.
I guess so. I mean,
so people who say nothing don't get things wrong, and people who say a lot also get things wrong.
Yeah. No, like, I guess the Democrats never get in trouble for what they say, bullshit, because they have nothing to say, bullshit. And like, does that count for does Mom Donnie have nothing to say? Or are we allowed to talk about what he's saying instead of the fact that he has something to say?
I think the important part is that fascists say a lot, and A lot of it's wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah. The other thing that's crazy about this one is the criticism they get is on the social media platforms that they are using to mine for all of our like we can do anything you want with your information, but how dare you use the platform to criticize us over anything?
Yeah, it's like they forget the point. The point is you're data mining it, guys. It doesn't matter that they're being mean to you.
Yeah. No, see, I mean, seriously, like being mean to us is a real sin. And one of the reasons why you're unhappy is you're mean to us. And that keeps us from being as wonderful as we would otherwise be and to your benefit.
I do think J.D. Vance and Trump believe that.
Yeah. Which is, like, again, like, there's no argument here about your merit or your why do you deserve this much power versus everyone else. 20. The pervasive intolerance of religious belief in certain circles must be resisted. The elite's intolerance of religious belief is perhaps one of the most telling signs that its political project constitutes a less open intellectual movement than many within it would claim.
That's just bait for the Christian nationalist base.
Yeah, I think so. It's also like...
And it's like throwing shade at like the secular liberal elite. Right?
I mean, Peter Thiel is a big fan of this like pseudo-religious hokum. You know, and so I think he probably has been ridiculed by his peers for indulging in this stuff.
Yeah.
So this partly is that, but
I mean
like
dogmatic belief in religion is probably not great for your for your intellectual movement.
Yeah, this is another thing where it's like it's not intolerance of religious belief. Does that mean we don't believe in it and think you shouldn't believe in it either, or is it dogma? You're not allowed to believe in it.
I think it's like they're recasting like separation of church and state as like intolerance.
Yeah, which is saying it's like the gay marriage is an attack on religious freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a form of like strange like twisted logic where like obviously if I don't mean like normal religious people, but if like religious fanatics were in charge of the political project, they would have absolutely no open they wouldn't tolerate any questioning of their beliefs about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So but I guess that's religious freedom. 21. Some cultures have produced vital advances. Others remain dysfunctional and regressive. All cultures are now equal. Criticism and value judgments are forbidden. Yet this new dogma glosses over the fact that certain cultures and indeed subcultures have produced wonders. Others have proven middling and worse, regressive and harmful.
This is interesting. I've actually been writing about this.
Mm-hmm.
My editor is a little behind. But I do think it'll be up on the Substack soon.
Has nothing on his plate. It's just sitting on it.
Yeah, he just likes to sit on my writing. I think it's, a little passive aggressive. Anyways, I obviously disagree with that as it's written. But I do think that there's a reasonable critique here that there's a liberal impulse and like some DEI impulse to like if it is true about a culture, then it must if a culture is expressing something, especially if it is a non-dominant culture, we have to just accept that it must be right and good and fine and not like and move on. So like there's this like preservation of culture and difference, which I think is incorrect. I think there are actually like valid ways to measure the value and worthwhileness and truthfulness and accuracy of ways of doing things and wisdom and knowledge, and that there are impulses that pull us away from that. Fascism is one of the impulses. Liberalism is one of the impulses. It is not the case that there are just like civilizations and cultures that produce so much more and and then those that produce so much less, and that we can just like we'll have Palantir rank them. Most of the, I think, progress has actually to do with the friction between cultures and that development of knowledge, and not understanding that means you will be stuck with fascist science and fascist knowledge, which is not going to be that exceptional, even though you want everyone to believe it will be.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like the liberal thing here is that you're not allowed to say, quote unquote, you're not allowed to say what we all know, which is that we are better than them, and one of the ways we show that is by pretending that we're all the same and we're all equal, and that's disgusting and horrifying.
Yes.
And the right wingers are going to go, we are better because we're liberals, which is why liberalism is wrong. We need to be exactly like all these cultures that we denigrate. We need to be closed societies, which unequal wealth and extremely repressive to women and minorities, so that we
should
can
do that,
stomp
right?
out the liberalism that lies about how we're equal to them because we're so liberal.
But what's you
But-
read that, and you know that they're talking about like
Islam,
Right.
the main thing. China secondarily, but Islam.
I mean, it's a cheap point, but where do we get our numerical system?
Right. Well, this is the Marxist thing is criticism of everything that exists and everything in our current.
That's why we're like this.
Yes, that's why we're like this. And in our modern world, everything is capitalist, more or less, and everything deserves fierce criticism.
But to be clear,
But-
you're saying everything does everything deserves criticism
Everything.
anyways.
Right. Everything deserves criticism anyways. You should always be critiquing and say, well, does this make sense to me? Why does it make sense? Where does it come from? But I will say this with absolute certainty. All cultures are not equal. That's true. And we shouldn't pretend they are. Western culture is much, much worse than every other single one. The U.S. culture, the culture that has led to the construction of Palantir and 50 years of U.S. imperialism is by far the most dangerous, disgusting culture on earth.
I think the culture that has led to the creation of Palantir is Nazi culture.
Yeah,
Seriously.
seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, the United States is the Fourth Reich, and its conduct over the last 5-6 decades speaks for itself. Almost all the things that they want you to despise in the Middle East are direct products, not of reaction to things that we have done that have caused radicalization, but us funding and supporting and encouraging radicalization for U.S. imperialists to get what they want,
Which is great for a
with
company,
no regard to anyone else as human beings.
which is great for a company that sells defense technology.
Exactly. So there is no greater threat to like peace, prosperity, and universal brotherhood than Western imperialism. And the faster it goes, the better. So they're right about that. And like to pretend that like we have our culture, which has taken the labor of millions of people all over the world,
Billions.
billions of people all over the world for decades, and channeled it through our pockets so that we can benefit and not the world, means that we have produced these things. It's like kings saying, look, obviously kings create a lot more than farmers, because look at all the grain I have.
Look at how many castles I have.
Yeah. Well, are you people don't do anything. So, but you get to take credit for all this stuff. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, disgusting, like unforgivable, the self-delusion on display to believe this garbage. 22. We must resist the shallow temptation of a vacant and hollow pluralism. We in America, and more broadly the West, have for the past half-century resisted defining national cultures in the name of inclusivity. Defining
national cultures.
But
we have resisted defining national who's sitting around a board table being like, it's time to define the national cultures.
No,
we can't.
We can't.
That
We need
would-
to resist this temptation.
That would not be inclusive.
We in America, and more broadly the West, have for the past half-century resisted defining national cultures in the name of inclusivity. But inclusion into what?
Inclusion into what?
Inclusion into what? Into U.S. imperialism.
Into vacant, hollow pluralism.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they don't listen to music, because all of music is black slave music that they listen to. So I hope they don't listen to music.
These people might not listen to music.
No, they might listen to like classical music because they're that pieces of shit.
This Faulkner.
Yes.
I mean, they may be cyborgs. I don't know if they listen to music anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know what reality that they're living in that they don't think that there's defined national cultures. Like, what mostly defines the United States I've been living in for my entire life is very clear culture wars with very clear defined national cultures that happen to be marketed to us as at polar opposites of one another.
Yeah.
And basically drive the music we listen to, the TV we watch, the party we vote for, the cars we drive, the places we live in the country.
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with national cultures that are mostly built around being actually deliberately exclusive and polarized from one another.
Yeah.
So I know that like they're full of shit, but like this is just silly. And I don't know who's being like, no, we must. I guess this is like we're a melting pot, so we can't have a national. we have to be inclusive, but like that is literally not how that's not how the history works. It's not how the last 30 years has worked. It's not how anything I've ever seen works.
This is a classic like descriptive versus prescriptive problem. And both of those things, like we should engage in both of those things. Like when most people talk about America and American culture, they're meaning to describe observations about it, which is, for instance, it's a melting pot. For instance, like
I think
Italian food is a big deal here. And
we call it a salad now. Having the textbooks shifted from melting pot to salad.
oh, I thought, oh god,
Because it's,
I thought it was supposed to be a stew.
No, that was Pew assimilationist.
Oh, okay. Well,
but anyways, now we talk. I guess now we call it a fascist hellscape in the textbooks.
Well, there's the other thing that we should do, which was we should be prescriptive. What kind of culture do we want, right? And I think liberals do have a problem with this because the cultural relativism that they want to engage in, which is patronizing and fake, prevents them from having conversations like our culture should uplift the labors and rights of women, for example. I think that should be that we should resist racist ideas publicly when they arise, and like make not just neutral but like affirmative actions to like undermine racism. That should be part of our national culture. I think that conversation also should happen, and the liberals are unequipped to have it.
They are,
and the fascists are going to be like, we should define the culture as, here are some things that white people really care about, and if you don't believe these things, you're basically inferior in your way of thinking. Is what they want to do.
I do think that I agree with you largely, but I do think that there were thinkers and liberals who were proactively defining what pluralism and cosmopolitanism looks like in the 90s and the aughts.
What it ought to look like, or what it did look like?
What it ought to look like.
All right, which is what?
I guess the traditional liberal pluralism would be that society has lots and lots and lots of different ways of doing things, and you find general consensus to create on very important issues around like how to organize, how to exist, how to have justice, but that you have a lot of leeway around difference. And that difference, that pluralism of ways of being, is a strength for the social fabric. It's silly to think that you can't have consensus in that sense. Like humans, I think this is a problem with liberals, but there's a belief that there'll be human ways of understanding justice and equality and organizing, and like that's the body politic. You see consensus, but you don't need it everywhere, and you don't need it on everything, and that is actually like a strength of a society.
Yeah.
I think that is what pluralism or liberal pluralism was or is.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that has happened, I think, over as time has gone on, as like the salad metaphor, I think is true to some extent, is that they're not seeing immigrants or like newer arrived groups, right? The older arrived groups were one thing, but the newer arrived groups don't seem to be as grateful and as motivated to be more like us, and that offends us. Like we want to assimilate, and we are eager to become less like where we came from and more like you, and we are really grateful for the opportunity to do so. And I think that this is a consequence of like liberal pluralism, where everyone is equal. You don't have to do that. So you got these like enclaves of people who are not motivated to speak the language, are not motivated to like join into the mainstream dominant ideologies about things. And this is not like, for one thing, it's not really that true. Like there were lots of groups that came in and like had like, Little Italy exists for a reason. Like they had their own neighborhoods, they had their own languages, they had their own ways of going about things. They really were punished by the larger culture and kept at arm's length on purpose, because the impoverishment of like the Irish, for example, was like a nice way to make an extra money for the bosses. So it's not as true as they say. And I also think like there was a point also when there was a ascendancy to U.S. culture that made people motivated to tag their wagon onto it. Like this is on the rise. It's going places. Now I think everyone gets here and is like, this is the degenerating like horseshit. And like, I want to be here because the money is like sort of sloughing off the billionaires, and I can get some of it. But like, there's nothing here culturally for me. It's like Marvel movies, people being nasty, and fast food. Like there's nothing else there's nothing there to like really get excited about. Wherever they came from probably is richer in culture and more honest, more like artful, more like less commodified, less materialist. So why would they,
I mean, culture is not. You're talking about a particular dominant commercialized form of culture, American culture.
Yeah. I mean, this is what these people mean when they're like, everyone should want to be like us. Like us is
I
that.
will say that I think there's 2 points. One is classic liberalism when it comes to this stuff and how you value difference and pluralism cannot be nationalist. Like the classic liberals who are talking about this are like, you don't have control about where you're born. So you could be born anywhere. So you actually have to have moral interest in all human beings. So the minute you start to try to translate that thinking, that sort of liberal pluralist thinking into national identities or nationalism, or, in the case of the right wing, fascism, like it breaks because you have to have some interest in humanity, some moral obligation to humans regardless of where they happen to live in order to like be able to sort of play this game where you're like, there's difference and there's consensus and we should have it all. So Kwame Anthony Appiah wrote Cosmopolitanism and the Ethics of Identity. And he has 2 like tensions when he talks about cosmopolitanism. First is universal concern, which again is like moral matters, human moral matters are not like bound by borders or other like artificial ways of belonging.
Yeah.
And the second is about the valuing particularity. So you have the universal and you have the particular, and those things are in tension. And of course, those things, I think we can all understand how those would exist, how you can have both, but you cannot have both if you start to like carve up the world like capitalist monsters. And I do think that was well articulated. I think that these are well articulated arguments. I just don't think that they are intellectually honest about how they exist under capitalism. But he also notes, like, one of his big contributions is that cultures are not externally bounded. So when we talk about Western civilization, he will this is his argument. He identifies that Western civilization, the way people use that term, is largely built on Greek philosophy, Arab mathematics, African agriculture, indigenous American crops, and Chinese technology. So you have like this idea of this like mammoth important culture, Western civilization, and it does not exist in any way without the pollination of many, many cultures and lots of time. And so there's no, and this goes back to the last point, there's no ranking these cultures. And there's no development of Western civilization, which is, significant human development happened over the course of like what we're calling Western civilization, that exists like without in a vacuum. There's no like, and I mean, this is like, I don't know if the fascists believe this or they're just telling us it so we believe it. But like, you cannot just silo yourself off and have like exceptional civilizational power and knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they actually like it's a similar to Marco Rubio. Like, you're saying these things? Do you believe it, or are you just telling us this because we're supposed to believe it because we have to hate everyone who is not a white Christian nationalist male?
Yeah, I think a lot of them do believe it because you can sort of hypnotize yourself into squinting at history a certain way, where every accomplishment is really a white man did it.
I mean,
and everyone else is sort of there.
You don't even have to hypnotize yourself. That's just like that is what most people think.
Yeah. I mean, people who don't have any education except for what the U.S. education system has taught them believe that. But people who have much better education,
know what history has happened.
Right. But I think that the reason why they believe it not because they think it's true, they believe it because it's in their interests to like peddle this, because there's very few ways to convince people to go and die for billionaires unless you tell them a story about how this is for something that you get to be a part of, that's bigger than you and bigger than me. And why are you a part of it? Because someone who is not at all related to you in genetics, who didn't live at the time that you did, that didn't speak the same language as you, that didn't walk on the same ground as you, I don't know, invented I don't know, something really important. They invented something really important. They wrote a book, and that book everyone has read and you should really be proud of that.
Are you talking about the Bible?
I don't know. No, I'm not. They didn't. Those are all Jews. Everything in the Bible is written by Jews.
I'm not Jewish. They walked.
Middle Eastern Jews.
I see those people are different than me.
I know. I mean, they're talking about Christian Europeans. They did not write the Bible. So I don't know what the accomplishments are.
The Enlightenment,
because
like,
they conquered a bunch of people because they decided to try and conquer people at like the right time.
They're just talking about colonialists.
Yeah, but like, what's the accomplishment there besides just
raping and pillaging?
That's it. That's the accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean,
I was honestly trying to think of something. And I like what pillars, like the Roman pillars. Like what is the big contribution? The iPhone? What is it exactly?
I think that the first point was it's not the iPhone.
Yeah, right. Right. It's the thing we haven't sold you yet. Palantir.
That free email.
I mean, you're right. Like I was like the internal combustion engine is not Western. All this technology is from Asia. What is the
fashion
classes? What is? I mean, I don't know what the someone please comment on this episode and tell us a singularly and obvious Western contribution to global civilization.
That's an impossible question to answer because I mean, yes, if someone feels like they really have an answer other than like Nazis.
I mean, gunpowder is Chinese, right? Like that, like it's not. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of ways you get to gunpowder, but like we can say the Chinese people invented gunpowder.
But chickenpox, smallpox.
I don't think that being a breeding ground for diseases is the same thing as inventing something.
Well, I mean,
the Sistine Chapel? What, the bicycle? Oh, the bicycle?
Pizza.
Pizza's pretty good. The pizza out, if you're gonna leave like a monument to humanity and like here are the top 200 things, pizza would make the list.
But pizza immediately gets you into universality.
Okay, tell me more.
Everyone loves pizza. Like it's the most.
There's no tension between the universal and the particular.
Well,
everyone likes pizza?
There's so much particular in pizza. There's lots of particular pizzas. Sure. But pizza brings people together. Pizza's easy to eat. You can hold it. You can eat it. You can stand while you're eating it. Kids like it. Old people like it. It's often very cheap everywhere. I mean, you can buy expensive pizza if you really insist. Pizza is a testament, I think, to humanness.
Yeah. So, also, Italians are too swarthy and dark to be the kind of people they're talking about anyway.
Well, don't tell it to Marco Rubio. He wants to reclaim all.
Yeah, good luck, Marco.
So here's the thing. I think that your question, while maybe we'll get some really funny answers, like and comment, is false. There's not a thing that Western civilization creates that's only from Western civilization. That is a false category that has lots of people have lots of notional ideas about what it means. But even if you sit there and you define what you think it means, everything that it is a result of culture contaminating, especially Western culture, because it's largely a colonialist culture. Maybe it's colonialism.
Well, I think I figured it out.
There's colonialism that's not.
Yeah,
Western.
And slavery and imperialism. Yeah. It's the assembly line. That is the thing. They don't understand this, but I think floating underneath all these notional things is we are the ones who came up with the assembly line first.
Fordism.
I'm going with capitalism, industrial division of labor, and wage slavery. Those are the contributions that everything that they think they're proud of. That's actually what it boils down to.
Any group of people that was experiencing industrialization would have ended up with division of labor.
Yeah, but we did it.
Assembly
We did. I don't mean the word grotesquely. Did it first.
If Russia had done it first, then it would not have been a Western civilization's thing that it owns. Communism would have owned it. But I don't call it the Eastern Bloc. Would have been an Eastern Bloc civilizational.
Yeah, and if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bicycle.
I think it's a false question.
That's what they're getting at. That's my point. Is that England in particular and Europe in general.
You're taking the question at face value. They're getting at white Christian nationalist nonsense, tradition, fascist nostalgic ways of thinking and doing things. That's the culture they want. That's the culture they want to build ideas around so they can exclude. They have no idea how they got here or why. They want some basic checks on your skin color and what religion you have. That's what they're getting at, and you're taking it as a valid argument.
No, I'm not. I'm
You're
trying
trying to
to
solve. You're trying
I'm
to
trying-
solve the riddle.
I'm trying to solve what is at the basis of this like psychological certainty that there's something special about like white people. In their minds, there's something very special about white people that everyone else is jealous of. And I think if you spend some time trying to think about what are the contributions that all the liberals are too like embarrassed to take credit for, it's very, very hard to figure out what it is. And I think that undergirding that sense of security is we generate a lot of wealth very quickly at the right time because of the Industrial Revolution.
Well, also because World War II destroyed all of our competition.
I you know, I understand.
I agree that they have a level of confidence in these assertions that are based on, I guess, the unprecedented wealth production that the United States stumbled its way into. But I think what really undergirds these questions is deep hatred of the other, insecurity about their own position, and opportunism by certain wealthy people to figure out how to get more wealth, build better bunkers, and turn themselves into frozen cyborgs.
Sounds like a vacant and hollow pluralism to me.
But I mean, I guess anything that you're inviting Elon Musk and his family to join your bunker is going to be somewhat pluralist. Wow, you're getting all sorts. You're getting all sorts and types. All right, done and dusted.
Done and dusted.
As you grow old, your powers will fade. As you grow old, you're on the make, and you don't do regret. You're always out for what you can get. You think like a snake, and you ooze like a snail. Let the trail go cold as you swallow your tail. With your low rent skills and your heart of flint, telling your tales that are unfit to print. You're all weasel words, backed up by the boots, obsessed like the rest, with a promise of loot. Your pies will fade as you grow old. Your pies will fade as you grow old. Your pies will fade as you grow old. Your pies will fade as you grow old.
I love you.
No, you're not. You're playing magical wieners.
Musical winners.
Musical wieners.
I'm gonna give it to the high part.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay.